Hey there, welcome back to Cabin Shed. You're probably here because you saw the previous video on the hand tools and the top three I think you should pick. Now, we're going to cover off on the three most essential power tools, again covering off on the criteria. The criteria are it must be relatively cheap and therefore affordable. It must be one of the most versatile and sensible tools to own. It must add value to the workshop. So again, I'm doing these videos because I found that I did a lot of early work. I mean, I'm not the most advanced woodworker you'll ever find. So the things I'm talking about are the things I struggled with very early on, like finding the right tools and knowing which ones were going to give me the most value. So I'm going to talk about the three power tools that I think add the most value in your workshop. So number one, and it's probably the most obvious thing in the entire world, but I think this is probably the most important tool a person can own, and that is the regular old cordless drill. This is my Triton hammer combi drill, which means it does a slight hammer motion as well. But I love drills. This is not the best drill money can buy, I'm just saying, but it definitely matches the rest of my very nice tools. There are other better drills you can get, but it's not about getting the better drill, it's about getting a drill. Frankly, any drill is better than none. Go buy yourself a drill. You can buy a drill for like 40 bucks, and that's in Australia. It's a pretty terrible brand, mind you. Don't expect it to last forever. But if it's your first drill and you just need a drill, it'll do the job. But a drill is essential. I mean, you can put a number of different bits in here. Regular drill bits like this one. You can put in, Phillips heads, all sorts of, driver bits. You can put in hole cutters and Forstner bits, and then you can get a variety of work done with one of these that will make your life a whole lot easier just because you own a drill. Now, when I say drill, I mean a proper, normal drill. I don't mean an impact driver. Impact driver, super duper handy, don't get me wrong, but not on my top list of the best three tools that you can get on the electrical side. So, not the impact driver. The impact driver does a lot of smacking around, but it's somewhat limited in terms of what you can put into it, especially based on the cost parameter. But the regular old cordless drill, a behemoth of the workshop. Second one I'd get, if I were you, is I would go and get yourself one of these. That is the old humble Orbital sander. The Orbital sander, if you're even starting out, say you've got your three tools, you've made your joinery, you've made your tenons, you've made your mortises, you've neatened up your surfaces as much as you can with your hand plane and all that, but you still need to do some sanding. This little guy, he's going to sand everything for you. He's going to sand doors. He's going to sand mirrored frames. He's going to sand your beautiful new box that you've made your wife. He's going to do so much. I use this thing on almost every project. Almost every project this gets used. So that means that sanding is important if you're getting into woodworking. So getting a sander makes sense. There are sanders that are kind of a big square and they kind of on the spot. Not as handy as the Orbital. Like this is a random Orbital, so it spins around and around and kind of has an elliptical shape to that motion. So this is super duper handy. Just saying, and leaves less. You can do some cheeky things like round off corners and stuff with that if you want to. If you say don't have a hand plane or a spoke shave or something else, but be careful you don't set the speed on them too high or they take a lot of material. So now we get on to the third tool of the lot here. So the third most important power tool, and you've probably already guessed it, it's the circular saw. Circular saw. So yes, it's just another saw. But you can do things with a circular saw that if you're, again, early days of woodworking, you can do things with the circular saw in your early days of woodworking that are going to help you basically put up with the fact that you can't afford a table saw yet. Because the table saw is without a doubt the woodworker's best friend. It is the heart of the workshop. Mine's sitting directly in front of me here. This is my outfeed table, and in there's a router, and I have lots of other cool tools, but if I had a really good, just a sensible, no-nonsense circular saw to begin with, I probably wouldn't have bothered with the cheap and rubbish table saw I picked up. that was an experience in horror. Like, I'm surprised I didn't kill myself from kickback or chopping my fingers off, to be honest, because cheap table saws just are typically not worth it. Second-hand quality table saws are very cheap and are very worthwhile. They've got great componentry in them, designed to last for 15-20 years. Their arbors are straight, the blade changes are easy, they're relatively accurate, although they require some tuning, but cheap ones are just rubbish. Don't bother with the cheap one. Anyway, that's off topic. So circular saw, you can do things like make yourself a track, and that'll help you do cutting of sheets and that sort of thing. When I talk about sheet goods ply, that's what I mean. So that's why I think the circular saw, and I mean, I've got two examples here. One's a small cordless, and the other is the Big Daddy Triton 235mm circular saw. You can get bigger in other countries, not this country, but these two alone do lots of work for me. There's a size in between these two. It's kind of 6 and 8 inch. There's a 7 in the middle. But this is super duper handy. So they're kind of my 3 picks. I think that's the most essential. Get one of those first, then get one of these, then get one of these. Of course, you've already bought all the hand tools, right? Yeah. So anyway, circular saws, you can start them at 100 for a really decent circular saw in Australia, and you can work your way upwards. So something like, I've got another Triton circular saw, their precision one that's designed to go in the table. That costs like $700. I got that for free though. That was a bargain. Anyway, that's my top 3 tools on the electrical side. If you want to subscribe, like, comment, do all the regular things that you do on YouTube, do that. If you didn't see my video on hand tools, find the link. That'll be probably in the description down below. Probably be a tag that pops up during this video anyway. Anyway, thanks for dropping by, and I hope you can learn from my experiences and have a much happier start to your woodworking. Anyway, catch you later.